it's an exciting time in our country right now. Cannabis, weed, dank nuggets, it's all becoming a real business again. The days of reefer madness, the 1937 Stamp Act, the ignored LaGuardia report are basically over. Bubbling to the top is the truth that the cannabis plant is a non-addictive and once again proving to be a medicine like it was back when fledgling pharmacies like Eli Lilly and Parker Davis used to produce cannabis extracts at the turn of the century, and the 1937 Stack Act pretty much wiped that out. So now we move to 1996 in California passing their medical marijuana laws. Now we have 21 states and 2 states that have recreational laws. Both these states, business is booming and entrepreneurs are coming out of the woodwork, and cannabis branding is really in its infancy right now. Ybor candy bars, Keef Cola, Dixie Elixir, Chiba Chew. There's tons of products that are coming onto the market. Soon you're even going to see strains that are going to be trademarked. This really isn't too far away. Basically, because of this, and this is really a gray area, this is medical marijuana, and it's kind of a legal gray area. And because of that, really, there's its own culture. Definitely has its own way of doing things, its own way of looking at things. And I think when it comes down to mainstream entrepreneurs looking at these people, they kind of look at what they've done so far and look at them as a bunch of potheads. And you know, it might be true, some of them are, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to revolutionize the business one day, and some of them already have. This is becoming a very lucrative business. Mainstream entrepreneurs are flocking to this industry, and states are more than happy but somewhat reluctant to get involved, but they also need those millions of dollars of revenues that are starting to come in. You know, so with all this coming together, how does your master grower communicate with a mainstream entrepreneur? Hey dude, I need some more newts. Or when ArcView asks somebody, well, what's your net cost on the bottom line? Well, I don't know, man, I don't even know what that is. You know, mainstream entrepreneurs are gonna need to learn how to deal with this culture. They're gonna need work on both sides, and it's real important that they learn to communicate with each other. You know, I've been a recreational user for years. When I went to California, like probably most recreational users, really didn't have a lot of knowledge as far as the benefits of the cannabis plant. I really saw firsthand once I got out there, especially becoming a caregiver, how important this plant was. I was really amazed. I just saw so many different cancer patients, patients with ALS, patients with major pain conditions. Just to give you a few, one of the people I care gave for, she was a hairdresser. She was about a month and a half out of her chemo and her operations. She started back to work. About 2 weeks back to work, she started developing neuropathy. So I got involved with her. Actually, a couple pretty popular strains, OG Kush and Sour Diesel, really seemed to work for her, helped with the sensations in her fingers. Eventually, she kind of quit cutting hair, but she's still at least able to color. Lost my spot here. So anyway, the other person I dealt with was, this guy was from a pretty staunch family in Northern California. We kind of met and we started a conversation because I have a niece who has a problem with Oxycontin, and he had a brother who has a problem with Oxycontin, and he had some major pain issues, and we had a long conversation about those things, and he basically decided he didn't want to go down his brother's path and chose cannabis, and I was able to help him with that. So a lot of you guys are looking to grow medical marijuana, and those of us who know how to do it know it's not that easy, but we also know it's not that hard. You know, most of you that's going to try this on your own without any kind of knowledge is going to fail the first time. It's pretty much inevitable. And most of the reason is because most of the information that's available is pretty basic, and it's kind of geared towards your basement grower and your closet grower, someone who's growing 4 to 6 plants. So there's not really a lot of large information available for larger grows. So trying this on your own is going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of heartache. Just so you know, personally, I've helped dozens of what you would call expert growers, so guys that like to grow flowers and orchids in their gardeners. Every one of them came to me after failing. 2 of them the first time, the rest of them usually the 3rd time. I don't know why it took them that long to figure out they weren't going to make it, but that's what happened. The only problem is that they do know how to grow plants, But the cannabis plant is kind of a unique plant. It has a lot of different strains, and those strains have a lot of uniqueness to them and certain things that they need at certain times. And because of the culture of the industry, a lot of growers really aren't willing to share that. So those of you who are looking to grow 100 pounds or more medicine for the state of Florida, you are going to need a master grower. And there's no Growers R Us, there's no job search on monster.com for a master grower, so you're going to need to find somebody. The problem is a lot of the people you're going to run into really don't have the skills that it takes to really produce on a large level. Most of the growers that you're going to run into really have been growing in a closet or in their basement. Even they could be producing the fire, as they say, but they're still going to lack large production skills, and to have an ongoing production of same strains and make sure that you get the same results takes a certain skill set that they're not going to have. You know, even having 10 or 15 plants is a lot different than 120 light grow with 1,400 plants. I can offer you some help with this. I got extensive knowledge in the cannabis industry. I've been in the legal industry for years. I've spent 20 years cultivating. I've been in large warehouses as well as small rooms. I've been a caregiver, I've been a bud tender, and I co-managed a co-op in Northern California. I've also spent many years in the financial industry, so I pretty much understand business. If you need, I can help you vet a master grower to make sure that you go through the process and that you're successful with your grow. I have people that I know that are capable of doing AutoCAD drawings for HVAC systems, electricians, make sure your rooms are at proper temps and humidity, make sure you're electrically compliant. It's going to be pretty important to make sure you're successful in this industry. Just some of those are just some of the things you're going to have to deal with. Zoning is going to be another real issue. You know, treatment centers is another thing that you guys are all going to be looking at. They have their own challenges. I mean, basically you're starting a retail business, and on top of you starting that retail business, you have the challenges of marketing a controlled substance like medical cannabis and its many strains and its growing edible market. Right now, in the last 2 years, edible sales were somewhere about 25% to flower sales. Right now, they're pushing 50%. So it's a booming market. So what strains do I carry? How many choices should I have? Storage, product shrinkage. Those are all things that you need to consider when you're operating a treatment center. You're going to need someone to make sure you know how to properly store the medicine, as well as people to make sure that they have the knowledge to dispense the medicine for the proper ailments. You know, finding a trusted store manager is going to be a little bit harder. Finding bud tenders really isn't going to be hard at all. I mean, there are plenty of fledgling cannabis smokers in the state of Florida that have some education that you'll be able to work with. Finding locations, dealing with landlords, dealing with city councilmen, those are really going to be the big challenge. Feasibility studies, traffic flow, parking, letters from landlords and neighbors, attorney's fees, those are all going to be a big thing that you're going to need to look at. It's a cash business, folks. Big safe. The state will definitely have required build-outs. So we don't know exactly what they are yet because the laws haven't been written, but I would expect to expect some sort of build-out with security. You're going to need a POS system with a seed-to-sale system. You're probably going to need streamlined cameras that might even go back to the state. I mean, we don't know until that happens. MJ Freeway and BioTrack are basically some of the two most popular POS and seed-to-sale systems. BioTrack just won the state bid for the state of Washington a year or so ago for the recreational. MJ Freeway's been around for years. They're both good seed-to-sale technologies. You're also going to need another one of those safes for storage of your edibles and your medicine in your treatment center. So make sure you're prepared for that. As far as a manager, make sure you do have someone competent. I said trusted because you need to have someone you can trust. There's a lot of paperwork involved. I just give you an example. I own two dispensaries in Arizona. So when I want to go pick up meds, I have to file 2 pieces of paper with the state. One is a trip to where I'm going, the other is the trip back. So I have to put who I am, where I'm going, what time I'm leaving, when I'm going to get there, what I'm getting, and then I have to send another piece of paper on where I am, where I'm going to, and the route I'm taking, and what time I'm going to leave, and when I'm going to be there, and I have to have that acknowledged that the state has received that. Then you get into how you're transporting it. I don't want to bore you guys. Remember when you do get into this business, your license is on the line, and security should be like your middle name. All you guys are going to need a business plan. Problem is, there's not really a lot of availability to numbers and sales for dispensaries. Being that I have several years of running a co-op and own 2 dispensaries, I'm able to at least provide you with some sort of comprehensive cash flow, sales, bottom line, EBITDA numbers, those kind of things that you'll need for a business plan. I can also help with finding you location and some advice on how to deal with landlords. You guys, I know it was said earlier, you need an attorney. Get an attorney. Without a doubt, you're crazy if you don't have an attorney. That's about all I got for you guys, so I have a feeling you guys are going to have a lot of questions for me, so shoot.
Hey, Brad. My question is, in Arizona, is it set up for the business to be a nonprofit, or is it a for-profit business?
They're nonprofit.
Okay.
And most likely, they will be nonprofit here as well. It's pretty standard in the industry. The only for-profit dispensaries are recreational.
Okay. How about for growers?
Well, in Arizona, when you get a dispensary, you get a grow certificate. So it's kind of worked in the same way, but they are for-profit. They're not running as a nonprofit status.
Okay.
But they're all kind of glommed together.
All right, thank you.
One more over here.
What are your consulting fees?
Me?
You.
I don't know. What do you want to pay? I basically charge $2,500 for a whole complete thing. I'll go over a dispensary, give you the guts of it as far as the numbers and stuff, help you draw out a plan for a grow if you want, give you a P&L sheet for a grow.
And how long I'm sorry.
And I charge like $2,500 for that.
And how long does it take you to formulate that? You?
It's up to you. I mean, we can sit and knock it out in 2 days, or we can take a couple of weeks, whatever you want.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
I mean, the last guy, it took a while just to figure out rotation of crops, so.
I have 2 questions, actually. The first one is, I know people that grow up north in a northern climate outdoors. Is there a particular strain based on Florida's climate that would grow well, that would still be a quality product to grow outdoors in Florida?
I mean, to grow strictly outdoors?
Outdoors, yeah.
Not that I can say right off the bat. Really, I mean, if you're going to grow outdoors, not in a greenhouse, you're probably not going to do real good down here. So you're probably going to need to be further north, like Gainesville and Panhandle, maybe. The problem is it gets really hot down here, so it's going to be too hot. I don't think you're going to get the growth that you need and the humidity and the moisture and everything else. You might get vegetative growth, but once you start to flower, you're probably going to get some kind of gray mold or white mold or something, because your buds are going to get wet every morning, unless you're out there drying them off with a dryer. You're going to have an issue.
Okay.
So if you're growing down here, you definitely want to be in a greenhouse, so you can control your environment, at least your temps and your humidities.
Okay, and the other question I had, you said you own 2 dispensaries. I'm a tax professional, and I've done a lot of research as far as the federal taxation of income tax. And from what I understand, you're not allowed to write off anything for any business expenses. But there's a way around that to set up a secondary business on the same premise as the dispensary. Could you give any examples of those secondary business other than a medical care treatment center? Because that's all I've been able to find.
Yeah, let's see. The best thing I could tell you is 2 things. One, go read the white paper by Luigi Zamara. Luigi Zamara is the accountant for Harborside.
Last name again?
Zamara, Z-A-M-A-R-R-A.
Okay.
And then to answer your question, yeah, there is a code in the IRS code, and believe me, I'm not a tax guy, I'm not an accountant.
208E?
You know, whatever it is. And I know, which is kind of strange when I found this out, that actually if you're running an illegal business, it gives you a way to pay taxes on it. And you're right, you can't write off those things, and that's been some of the big questions going forward. Every state kind of has their own nonprofit laws. I know that Arizona wrote specific nonprofit laws for their dispensaries. I don't know what they're going to do here. So who knows? We might not have to fall under that. But if you read that paper that I'm talking about, that'll probably give you the information you're looking for, because I'm not the person to ask that. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
I'm coming.
What type of licenses and how much money is involved in the very beginning and the get up before you even start on your treatment center or in a grow op or any of the?
Well, again, we don't know exactly how it's going to be in this state.
Just for reference,
Basically, there'll probably be an application and a fee. There may or may not be a lottery. And then, you know, that application's going to have to be a clean application. No one can have felonies. You know, the cleaner you are and the better you look, the better off you're going to be. What the fee's going to be, I don't know. Arizona was $5,000 for an application. I'm hearing Massachusetts is $30,000. California was like $1,000 or something. I think you paid $1,000 to the Department of Equalization, and as long as you got your ducks in a row from whatever county, city you were in, you were fine.
And is application based?
Pardon?
It is application based?
Yes. As far as grows, you know, large warehouse growing really hasn't been very prevalent until Colorado. The large grows that were obviously black market, and they really didn't produce but maybe 1 or 2 runs at a time before they finally left wherever they were at. So Arizona, again, when you get a dispensary, you get a growth certificate, so it's hand in hand. In Colorado, you just have to apply for it. It doesn't go hand in hand. California, they really didn't have anything like that. When I was there, Oakland was just starting to pass some laws to allow some people do some, you know, 50, 60,000 square foot buildings and do some grows in them. But other than that, it's kind of a new thing that's starting.
Nice. Okay. Brad, based on your experience, how much can I expect to pay a master grower annually?
120 a year, plus maybe some bonus. Yeah.
Good answer.
Where's the guy from Cali? Is that who said that? Yeah, there he is.
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Good.
I was wondering, I know in Colorado and California, regulating and testing is starting to become a big topic. As far as your dispensaries go in Arizona, are there any regulating bodies that are forming right now, or are you guys getting any flack from regulators, or is there anything happening there?
You need to test your product.
Yes.
Usually the grower is responsible for that. There are some regulations involved in that. Some people don't always. I think it's a sampling is what they're doing right now. So not everything, a sampling of their batch of whatever they're harvesting. You follow what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So that's basically how it is right now. So every plant isn't getting tested. And that might come to pass, who knows?
Right, and that's kind of what I read and research too, is that dispensaries that are doing that are doing it as a competitive advantage, I guess. Hey, look, we get our stuff tested, come to us, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess what I'm saying is what I've been reading is that, especially with edibles, like there's, they had a big story on it last night, a local news station in Denver about testing edibles, about testing the potency in edibles and stuff like that. So I was just wondering if those kind of things are happening in Arizona, or you guys are hearing stuff like that there now.
The edible market in Arizona is kind of just starting. They had some issues in the beginning. They didn't even know if they're going to allow tinctures and oils and that kind of stuff. There was a little bit of discussion there. So that market is starting to come around. Everything is tested. I think that, like everything that's in this industry right now, because it's getting so big, things are moving forward. And I think you're going to see more and more people that are in that business being more responsible and making sure that their products are tested. I think it comes down to more control over what's going on, because it's true. I mean, you don't know whether this 100 milligram bar really has 100 milligrams or not.
Gotcha, thank you.
Hey, Brad. I know the federal government has been sending signals to cut the red tape between the industry and banking. I was hoping that you could speak from experience as to if you're getting access to the banks.
Well, Wells Fargo and Bank of America don't seem to be interested. You know, I don't think you're going to get any major bank to step up on that, and unless it becomes off of Schedule 1, most likely. We are using a local bank, and you're probably going to find right now that's probably the best bet. And a lot of people are just storing their cash. That's why I said get a big safe. The what? Bit? Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that the other day. I did not hear that, but I'm familiar with Bit. And who knows? I mean, that's one of the things that could come out of all this is someone might develop that type of currency. Well, that'll be the test. We'll see where it goes. But right now, I love cash, so.
What qualifies you as a master grower?
What qualifies me? Well, probably 20 years of experience.
Not you, personally, someone else.
Oh, somebody else. It's a really good question. You know, you want somebody who, like my buddy here, has at least been around a bunch of plants. I mean, a master grower isn't someone that knows how to grow the greatest strains and by 2 or 3 plants in their closet. They're good at what they do. A master grower is someone who you're going to have good cloning skills. You'll be able to look at plants and see what might be the problem. Someone that has a lot of experience with production and going through, taking down a run all the time, you know, with not having any problems in between. Also experience. I mean, someone's got to be doing it for at least a few years. They have to have some knowledge of different types of plants and strains and growing them, and that takes time. So really, that's, you know, time and knowledge is a big thing there. Construction experience. He'll be an electrician. He'll know about room flow. He'll know about a lot of stuff, believe me.
I got you.
But just the growing part, you're right.
One more question is, what are the grows in Florida going to be called?
Grows in
Treatment center for dispensary?
Well, as I understand it, because again, none of us know, you'll be able to grow in warehouses. As it sounds, you're going to have to be on agricultural land. So you can grow in a greenhouse, you can grow in a warehouse. Basically, you can, you know, the federal government, you don't want to be over 99 plants. But I can tell you right now that I've been in 2 warehouses in Colorado that there's a lot more than 99 plants in there. So, you know, you like the attorney up here said, you got to use a gray legal area. You can have as many plants as you want. I feel comfortable now because I don't think the feds are going to come in because there's a set medical cannabis law. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you don't give them any reason to think that you are selling that stuff illegally or you're laundering money and you're doing it in the right way, I don't think you're going to have a problem. So I don't think plant count's going to be an issue.
I just wanted to say there's alternative growing methods to high plant counts. It just, you know, it takes more money, but peace of mind, and you can still get your yields.
Yeah, the thing is that when you got business people wanting to produce, it's kind of hard to do with scrogging and bending and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, you could do that, but then you're limited to a couple of harvests a year, 3 harvests a year maybe. Well, 4 maybe, if you're lucky. No, that'd be indoor. Yeah, if you're growing in a greenhouse, you're going to veg all summer and bud when spring comes. So, I mean, if you're good, you could average 2 pounds a plant easily. Indoors, another story. Yeah, and you can do a depth, so you can get 2 harvests a year in a greenhouse. A depth is basically when they black out the whole greenhouse, keep it a 12-hour to 12 on